Good afternoon. It's Wednesday again, and for lunchtime chats with Jen. For some reason, when I start a live, if I try and put a title to this, it does not. Hi Heather. It does not start the live. I have to put it out without a title. So I'm just waiting for Ashley from Thriving Survivors to request to join. When you join, there should be a little button that comes up as you say that you've joined that says request to join. I don't know that I can invite you to join. Oh, excuse me, pardon me. How rude. You might need to come off and come back on again, Ashley, I'm not sure. When you come into the live next year, or if you maybe scroll back through the comments, it might say request to join. I don't know. Heather might be able to pop in here and tell me if there's another way to do it. Questions, no. It's technology, isn't it? Who knows how to do this shit? Not me. If you're watching this on playback, just skip forward a couple of minutes because we're trying to manage the joy that is Instagram Lives. I've been on calls though where other people have, invite to join. What a dick. There you go. Unable to join. Right, why would it say unable to join? Send request. I found how to send the requests. I feel like I've advanced in technology. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure if you can go on a laptop. My Instagram wouldn't even let me check my messages on my laptop yesterday. I had to come on my phone. I've sent an invite to her. How are you anyway, Heather? So while we're waiting for Ashley to come on, oh yeah, tell you about me. I am Jen Wilson, if you are new to following. I've had quite a lot of new followers recently. Don't know why that is, so welcome to you. I am a yoga teacher, Pilates teacher, movement geek. I absolutely love movement and how the body works and how the body can thrive, maybe would be a good word. Technology's not been our friend right now. I run a program called The Healing Rebel, which is all about different ways to manage your health and try and optimize it. Yeah, I've sent the request through again. Let's see if this lets us go. Yay!
Hi. Sorry, you've got me on my mobile phone. So let me just. How's that? Is that all right?
Yeah, the light's a wee bit glary behind you, so we can't see your face. That's a bit.
Switch on all.
That's better.
There we are. Still, it's those lights behind me. There. How's that?
That's better. Yeah, a wee bit better.
Sorry.
I know it's trying to get the lighting right, trying to get Heather's on watching as well.
Now I might have made it entirely too dark. Are we live as well? People watching this?
Yeah, it's alright. They've just been watching it, but Heather's watching us live, so I did say if anybody's watching this on playback on IGTV, to skip forward a couple of minutes. There you go.
Okay. Right, that's us.
You all settled.
Yes.
Yeah, you can take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath. Yes. Heather is here with us at this moment in time, but it will go onto IGTV so people can watch it on playback as well.
Okay, lovely.
So why don't you tell us what Thriving Survivors is about?
Okay, so Thriving Survivors supports people who have been affected by various different types of trauma. So trauma is such a wide range of words, you know, and I think we often, some people can struggle to understand what trauma is, and even if they've been affected by it themselves. So we work with people who've faced bereavement, who've faced childhood sexual abuse, who've been through domestic violence, drugs and alcohol. So we've got quite a wide reach in terms of who we work with. We deliver a range of different services. So we've got our mentoring service. So when you first come in, you are paired with a mentor who's got a similar life experience, and they'll be with you throughout your entire journey with Thriving Survivors. So we don't have a time limit on our services. So when you come in, we're with you for as long as you need us, really. And that mentoring service is key, I think, to helping people establish the sort of safety and stability that they need before they embark on the next stage of their journey. So the mentors are there every week. They give you a call. They're just a really, really good bunch, you know, and everybody that works for me has been through an experience themselves. So we've all got our own life experience that we're able to share and hopefully help other people come through and recognise that there's hope and a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. We also provide one-to-one counselling, which is the sort of stage 2 work that we do. So that's where, again, you're still with your mentor, but you begin working with your counsellor as well. And then we go into our stage 3 work, which is the post-traumatic growth programme, where we actually help people look at, well, who are you now as a person, now that you've been through your therapeutic work, you've been with your mentor for quite some time. Who are you? What makes you the person that you are? And that growth programme that we deliver helps people to do that. When we talk about post-traumatic growth, it doesn't just happen overnight. You know, that's a process. And whilst we provide a 6-week programme that gives you the tools and the techniques to help you start discovering who you are, at this point it really becomes about how much the person wants to change and how much that person wants to go on and to really find meaning. And we've had great success so far. So an interesting 3 years ahead of us as we start to really embed that end-to-end service into Thriving Survivors. But that's what we do, and that's who we support.
It's just such a rewarding thing to do, to be able to help pick people back up when they've had something quite horrific happen to them that they don't know how to process, and then maybe don't know how to show up in the world.
That's
and
right.
if they have that support around them of somebody who can empathise and understands where it's coming from, that can be so useful in the recovery journey.
I think it's key. I think identifying the trauma is really, really important. I think that's the first step, because a lot of people won't actually identify. So, for example, somebody living with domestic abuse, they'll face multiple experiences and multiple traumas along that period of time. Coercive control, a lot of people don't even recognise that they live in a relationship where coercive control is a thing. So helping people to identify the type of trauma, I think, is really key to helping them start to understand it and have an awareness of how it's impacting on them. And I think awareness is key to your recovery. I think if you can really start to understand what the trauma is, how it impacts you and how it makes you behave and react to things, from that point you've then got change, and you can really make change happen. So yeah, I think awareness is key to that, and understanding the trauma also is a big part of it.
Yeah, and giving survivors a space to have a voice and to be heard.
Yeah, that's powerful. I think more since I moved into this new project, Survivors' Voices, but I've always been an advocate for a survivor having a voice and having a say, because when I first found my voice after many years, you know, I found my voice and sometimes didn't quite know how to use it. And you know, once you find your voice, it can run away with you. You can say things that you don't mean, and because all of a sudden you've got this power within you that who's going to say anything. So it's about harnessing that voice and using it in the right way, and that's took me many years to manage to master that, I think. But I'm getting there. But if you can provide a space for somebody to be heard, and you actually listen, sometimes I think that's all that people need, and I'm really recognising that with the project that we're working on now.
Yeah, I think with the rise of social media, we don't listen the same way. Like, we're too busy waiting to make our point or quickly agree or quickly disagree, that we're not being able to actually hear what it is that somebody says, and like empathise or be compassionate towards them, or to really hear what is being said underneath. Is it just women that you deal with, or is it anyone?
We work with anyone. Do you know, if you've had a difficult time in your life and you're struggling to process that, then our doors are open. We won't turn anyone away, because what we find is a lot of the people that we work with, it all goes back to childhood. There's a lot of things go back to the adverse childhood experiences, and a lot of things that have maybe been witnessed in the past, or you've been party to as a child. And that's something that we recognise quite early on, that if somebody's presenting, for example, with a drug and an alcohol problem, for them that's their solution. It's not the problem, it's the solution to their problem, and helping them to understand and look that wee bit deeper as to, well, why do we use drugs and alcohol? You soon start to get a bigger picture, which is really sad that actually people come to you for one reason, and before you know it, you've unearthed somebody's whole truth underneath that. But see, to be part of that journey and to watch somebody who has come to you and at points on the brink of suicide, and to actually then go through that whole process, it's a privilege to be part of that journey. But it's incredible to watch. Do you know, it really is extraordinary to see somebody come full circle and to go on. And one person in particular came to me in that way, and it must be, so we'll be 5 in March. In fact, we'll be 5 on the 16th of March. I'm not even sure what today's date is. But yeah, 6 days. So 5 years we've been up and running, and this young girl came to me, I think we were about a year in, and she's now flying. She's just, I sit back and I watch from a distance as I see her getting promotion after promotion, and she's really took what happened to her and decided not to let it define her. And that's just one of those stories. Do you know, there's so many of them, but it's a privilege for me to be part of that journey. A lot of people say, oh, thanks for getting me here. In fact, and I always put it back to, you did the hard work. I only facilitated the tools and taught you how to use them. You did the hard work, and it's incredible when you see people who really want to make that change. If you're looking to make that change in yourself and you're ready to make that change, then it's just incredible to watch. So
yeah, it would be. I remember having a conversation with a friend who is an addict in recovery, and I remember asking him, like, what was it that took you to go and search for help? And he was like, the way I can describe it is this light burning inside me, and it was really faint, and I knew that there was something I could do to turn it up, and I just needed the right support around me. And now his light is shining so bright. He's gone into a job where he's now a carer and doing amazing things with his life. So I can imagine that's like you're helping people turn their lights up, shining bright.
That's right. And you see it as well. You see people physically change. You see the hair change, the face, people's attitudes, people's behaviour as they start to go on that growth process. And I think it is important to recognise that we need, when we talk about survivors, this isn't something that happens overnight. Do you know? You don't just flick a switch and all of a sudden we're better. This is a long process. But it's a long process of really looking at who you are. Like, truly looking at what your emotions, as they come up, what do they mean for you? Where does that emotion come from? Do you know, a lot of people even struggle to put a name to the emotion. So, sadness. People can, how do you feel today? I feel fine. See, if somebody says they feel fine, there's something else going on under there. And I know it's a standard response, but I tend to just ask a few more questions beyond that word fine. And you soon start to realise that people have got a dark cloud hanging over them and it just won't go away, and I feel dark and I feel stormy. And if you can start to explain to people what those feelings are and label them as emotions, they become easier to process. So it's a fascinating piece of work. Really, really is a fascinating piece of work.
Yeah, and I think this is important for anybody to hear, whether you're struggling with an addiction or surviving trauma, because we all have these behaviours. Like, we don't know how to identify feelings, we don't know how to identify the emotions, we don't know how to share that with other people, and you can get stuck. As I remember when I was dealing with grief a couple of years ago, and I didn't know how to express it, because when I first dealt with grief back 1990, I buried it. I was only 10 or 11 years old. I buried it, and that's what I knew how to do, was to bury it and find things to distract and soothe, so that you survive, so that you get through whatever your experience is. And everybody's situation is different. So this emotional intelligence is something that doesn't get taught, and very, very few people, I think a lot more people are talking about it now, so they're maybe able to talk to young kids and to talk to their families as they're growing up more about it. But my parents, they didn't wouldn't know how to speak to you about it. Their parents didn't know how to speak to them about it. So we're taking the lid off of this and being able to maybe be more open, where that's where maybe social media is being able to be useful, because we can share these messages a bit further and a bit wider.
I think social media's got its downfalls, and it's got its pitfalls, but I also have seen in the past sort of 6 weeks how beneficial social media can be and how powerful it can be. When you talk about emotional intelligence, I love it. You know, I live and breathe it. It's part of that growth program that we deliver. If you can't understand your own emotions, and how can you possibly then start to understand the emotions of other people as well? So it all starts from within, and if you can really start to gain levels of emotional intelligence and work on the 5 different aspects of it, then it really, but I believe your emotional intelligence is far more important than your level of general intelligence. You can go away and you can read as many books as you like, and you can learn as much as you like, but you need to have, I think your emotional intelligence underpins absolutely every aspect of your life, every aspect. You can read and you can learn and you can grow, and that's wonderful, but you need to have the emotional capability to then be able to interact with people. And so I believe that your emotional, I cannot rate it highly enough. Your emotional intelligence is key, and it's one of the things that keeps me well on a daily basis. So I've got complex PTSD. I've had agoraphobia for 8 years. I live with emotional intelligence and my mindset conquer also every day. So I think that brings me back to the growth program. So that post-traumatic growth program was my core service. I established Thriving Survivors because I went through the counselling, I had learned about this 3-stage model, but there was nothing to help me find meaning. in my life again. It was like I did the counselling, and I see it so often. People go through the counselling, they feel better, they pick up a wee bit, and then something happens, and they're right back to square one.
Yeah.
The growth program that I deliver stops people from going back, and I believe it's because of those sessions, and it's the way in which they flow. So if I was to deliver my emotional intelligence on session 1, people would be like, that, what is this? So it's a process in getting them ready to be able to do that work. Yeah. There's bits that I use with my kids. So I can see right now my 14-year-old son struggling with his mental health because he's in his bedroom from 9 o'clock in the morning until 10 to 4 in the afternoon doing schoolwork, and you can see him becoming more and more demoralised by it, and lockdown's having that impact on everybody. But because of my levels of emotional intelligence and because I live and breathe it, I'm able to actually feed that in and through the household. So I've got him talking about his emotions. We've actually just started a family thought jar. So if somebody's getting to somebody else, or somebody wants to discuss something or any of that sort of stuff, any angry feelings or anything like that, it goes in the thought jar. And then when the baby goes to bed at night, we sit as a family, me and my husband and the 2 boys, and we pick out the thoughts out the jar. But what that does for the boys is during the day, they're not getting weighed down by all the things that are going on. They've processed that thought, popped it in their thought jar, and then we're able to actually sit and have those conversations. We need to speak about mental health. We need to speak about the impact that trauma has. My oldest son knows that I struggle sometimes. He knows that I sit here and I look like I'm great and I'm in a wonderful position, but I still very much live as a survivor as well. I may well be a business leader, but I still have my trauma and I still have the effects of it on a daily basis. But the tools that I've got help me get through it, and being able to share them with the kids and being able to spread that out through the family makes for a happier, healthier household. It's a nice place to be at where you can feel happiness and love and joy, and that's what Thriving Survivors strives for. When we work with people, we want them to feel supported, valued and cared for, but also to be understood, to be heard, to be listened. And I think all of that comes from the fact that I am a survivor myself.
Yeah.
It's not planned. It's not. I don't have control over any of the sort of surrounding bits of that. So I was terribly worried. However, my husband and my son were both shielded. So that meant that the only person that could actually go anywhere was myself. And I had to go and do the supermarkets because I couldn't get my shopping delivered. So there was a lot of challenges for me and a lot of things that I had to overcome. But I think, again, my mindset, my 7-11 breathing, they are the things that got me through it. In terms of where I'm at now, I long for the swimming pool to be open. I can't wait to go for a coffee. I truly appreciate the years that I lost, if that makes sense. I can now sit where I am and think, for 8 years I isolated myself, almost and it must be like that for everybody else who lives with agoraphobia. it's just normal to them. What everybody else is living with right now, for people like myself and for other survivors as well who don't identify as having agoraphobia, will have enjoyed not having to go anywhere, not having to attend the doctors, not having to go to appointments. This whole new digital life will suit some people, and I think that will be a big crisis that's on the horizon, is that people have become comfortable in their own home. Personally, I can't wait to have my life back. I don't resent the fact that I wasted all those years because I obviously needed time to heal. But I do sit back now and I'm grateful for the fact that I'm where I'm at and can't wait to take my daughter swimming. So when my youngest son, when he was born, I couldn't go to mums and toddlers. I couldn't go to the park. I never did any of that stuff. I had to sit on the sidelines and watch it all happen round about me. Yeah. My daughter's 2, so she's missed out on being able to do all the normal things that my other kids done. I cannot wait till they open it back up where I can take my daughter swimming. I can take her to the park. And so I'm looking forward to what lies ahead. So I think for me, it's really opened my eyes and made me think I've got a life to live, and I won't let the door hold me back or the 4 walls hold me back. And I say that like it's dead easy, but I'm aware that there'll be days where once we open back up and it's there and I can go, I'll be like, I don't know if I want to go. Especially the swimming's a big one. I don't know if I want to go.
Feet back in.
But I will jump in with 2 feet first and see how it all pans out. But I'm looking forward to things opening back up. I think the lockdown's been challenging for everybody, and I think it's made everybody do that piece of self-reflection. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm grateful for where I'm at now, and I fully intend to make the most of it when they open it back up.
Yeah, definitely. So you are you organising a consultation, or are you involved? Like, what's the thing with the consultation that's coming up?
So Survivors' Voices is now live. So it's a consultation looking for the views of survivors of sexual and domestic abuse on the topic of restorative justice. So realistically, really what I'm looking for is for as many survivors to come forward and fill in this consultation, so as that we can get a real understanding of what people's understanding of restorative justice is, what people's demand, is there a demand for it? If there is a demand for it, what might that look like? It will take about 15 to 20 minutes to fill the consultation in. There's a lot going on round about it. There's panel sessions that run on a Wednesday evening. There's free weekly sessions on restorative justice and the information that the education piece that we're doing round about that. But really this is about survivor choice and making sure that survivors are at the heart of any service development that comes next. So yeah, it's live, it's exciting, and it's gave a lot of survivors a platform to have their voices heard. Yeah. And I think it's just wonderful. And again, it's a privilege to be part of it.
Yeah. And is this connected back to the government, or is this directly through the government? And is it Scottish government or UK government?
Scottish government. So Scottish government have funded us to run this consultation, because they've got the Restorative Justice Action Plan, and they're hoping to have services rolled out, if you like, or at least in the pipeline by 2023. And the fact that survivors are being consulted prior to a service being established is really quite unique. So Scottish Government are really keen to hear what survivors have got to say on this matter, so as that we're not excluding anybody. Do you know, if there is a demand for this, then I'm sure Scottish Government will see what they can do about that. And it's about making it safe as well, because it's very, very, very sensitive matters and very, very sensitive subjects, and that needs to be handled correctly as well. So restorative justice isn't available for survivors of domestic abuse and sexual abuse in Scotland at the moment. The Scottish Government are very interested in hearing what people's thoughts and views are on that, and they've tasked us with carrying out that consultation.
Cool. Yeah. So what could restorative justice look like?
There's a question, and probably one that I don't have a fully rounded answer to. There's so many different ways that this could work, but it's still so very early in the process. So everything that survivors are feeding back to us in this consultation will then go on and shape what that will look like. Right. But the idea of restorative justice is that we bring together the person who caused harm and the person who was harmed, and you try and heal some of that harm that's been caused, allowing for that survivor to go through a different process, if you like. It's not, I don't think, I know it won't overlap with the criminal justice system. So if you were to take part in a restorative justice process, it wouldn't influence the criminal process, I don't think. But again, everything's so early on in the stage at the moment that what it looks like will be really determined by the results of this consultation.
Yeah, and am I right in thinking that many people who are the abusers in situations have been abused themselves in childhood, and then it's like a repeated pattern? Is that?
I think that it is common. It depends on what type of crime you're looking at as well. To say that everybody that perpetrated a crime like that would be a survivor themselves, I don't have statistics on that, but again, another difficult question to answer. There's definitely a lot of evidence that would say that people who perpetrate the likes of childhood sexual abuse might well have been had crimes like that perpetrated against them as a child. But again, I don't have statistics on that, so I wouldn't want to really give a definitive answer on that.
Yeah, and whether they had or not, even if there was, when people are committing crimes, quite often they don't think about the victim because there's they kind of possibly black out or completely disassociate from what's happening, and they forget that there's something else. So when they get confronted, like I've heard about people that have murdered a person's child, and that the mother of the child has gone and had a relationship with the person who killed their child, and they've been able to see that the person who committed the crime was able to see that there was victims and that they did something wrong and could ask for forgiveness and then heal from that, so that all parties were healing from it.
That's right. So that is a restorative process, if you like. That does have, because both sides took something from it. Restorative justice needs to be neutral. It needs to be completely voluntary. Both parties need to agree to the process. The person who perpetrated the crime needs to take accountability as well. There's such a complex issue. It's not as simple as the one size fits all. There will be different methodologies and different ways to deliver services like this to different crime types. So what might work for somebody who had experienced interfamilial abuse might not work for somebody who's been part of a domestic abuse and still in contact because of children. So the methodologies will be different, and again, the consultation responses should feed directly into all the recommendations that will be made, and hopefully Scottish Government will come back again and seek the views of survivors even further before any services are implemented.
Yeah. So how do people get involved in this consultation? How do they fill out the survey?
There's links on our website, so if you go to www.thrivingsurvivors.co.uk, you can find everything from there. You'll find survivors' voices, you'll also find the consultation link as well, and it tells you a great deal about Thriving Survivors and the work that we also do. You'll also find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and there's another one, but for the LinkedIn. So you'll find us on all the social media channels, Thriving Survivors. If you just search us, I'm sure you'll find us. And Heather from One for Growth has been doing a smashing job with the social media. So there's links everywhere, absolutely everywhere, and they're going out daily as well. There's also, again, I would say the website is the best place to go. You'll find absolutely everything that you need on there. There's so much information, but there is a direct link to the consultation on the website.
Okay, cool. I will put in the comments, I'll put that URL just so that people can see it, and I've tagged you in this post so that people can then click straight onto your social media, and then when I get it downloaded I can share it on Facebook and I'll put it on my YouTube with links in the comments as well. So when is the consultation to be completed by?
We will close on the 28th of March, so we've still got a couple of weeks, but we're looking for a big response on that. The more survivors that come forward, the more people that have their voice, the better the service construction will be as we move forward.
Yeah, and does it matter where somebody is on their survival journey?
So again, this is another question. Anybody can fill this consultation in. If you are at the start of your journey and the experience is still quite raw, we do have counselling sessions available. So if you need support, then please come and again just contact us straight through the website. Everything that you need on there. So we do have counselling sessions. What I would say is, if you're right in the very early stages of this, there'll be other opportunities for you to have your voice heard. So please be safe right now and just be aware of what you're able to do and how safely you can do that. In terms of restorative justice, I think there will be a time in your recovery where you're ready. Years ago, had it been offered, I would have jumped at the chance. Do you know, I would have been in angry and full of rage, and I don't know if it would have had the right outcome. Where I'm at in my stage in my recovery now, the outcome might well be quite different. I'm in a much better place. I'll keep to myself on whether I think it's a good idea or not, because I'll remain impartial right the way through. But I think the time in your recovery when you might want to take part in restorative justice will be completely up to you and completely individual. And I think that's a key message as well, is that the restorative justice process will be different for everybody, because each case is so individual. Whilst we all experience the same emotions and the same behaviours, each experience is different. None of us experience the exact same thing. So how the dynamics of those meetings and stuff work will be different for everybody. But restorative justice is a process. It's not something that we'll just rock up tomorrow and we'll be in the same room and we'll have this totally enlightening conversation. It's a very safe, very structured process that has got risk assessments throughout the entire process. But it'll be for the survivor to decide when's right for them and their journey.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else that you want to share this afternoon?
No, I think that's it. I could talk to you all day long, really could. Especially when I'm excited about something. So I'm talking about the things that I love. So I could talk to you all day long. So no, I've got nothing much else to add. Just thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. I hope at least one person that sees this that needs to hear what we've spoken about, if just one person can come forward and get assistance or guidance or support or help, or be able to offer help, that would be amazing.
That's right. That was what I said to my husband when I first started this, was if it helps just one person, then it won't all have been in vain. And here we are, over 600 people in, and it hasn't all been in vain. There's been a reason for it all and a purpose to it, and a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think you're right. I think that my message to people would be, if you're struggling, if you need help, if you need support, then reach out and ask for help. You're not alone. I know it can feel like a very lonely journey, but there's a lot of us out there. We are a community, starting to become a loud community as well. So come forward, speak up. There's plenty of help there.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Right, I'll get this. This is going out live, and I'll get it downloaded onto my IGTV right now, and then
Okay.
share it.
Lovely.
All right, thank you so much, Ashley.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for having me.
And we'll no doubt when I get the podcast up and running again, I'll have you back on, and we'll do another different podcast.
Excellent. Brilliant. Always happy to talk.
Me too.
Brilliant, Jen.
Right,
Thanks very much. See you. Bye.